Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Rick Brown with the Brown Home Group, and this is Beyond the Key podcast. This podcast is all about real people, real stories, and real conversations, from entrepreneurs to community leaders and everyday change makers. We're here to shine a light on the journeys that inspire, challenge, and connect us. It's not just about what people do, it's about who they are, what drives them, and the impact they're making in the world around them. So whether you're here for insight, inspiration, or just a good story, you're in the right place. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get into it and go beyond the key. Jim, thanks so much for being on. I'm really excited to have you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So we're just going to jump right in, and really, I'd love to start just to get to know who you are. Who's Jim? Where's Jim from? How did Jim get to Orlando? Or I think you're not actually in Orlando, are you?
I'm in Titusville, Brevard County.
Titusville, Brevard County. Okay.
Yep.
But tell us, where did it all start for Jim?
Yeah, the Rockets, when they launch over at Kennedy, they shake my windows. I'm that
Wow.
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I mean, I'm a Yankee. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Went in the Air Force, was stationed in California.
Well, thank you for your service.
My pleasure, yeah. Got out of the Air Force, came back home, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in special ops, search and rescue, weather reconnaissance, a lot of high security clearance issues. Back then, Cold War games, things like that. So I wasn't overly, I didn't really have a skill that was like I can just jump right into a civilian job. So I did a few things. Then I decided I need to go to college. Went to Asbury College in Kentucky, conservative Christian-based school. Non-traditional student, still living in the dorms. Met my wife my junior year. She transferred in. She only had 2 years left to go. So my junior year was her senior year. And just every time I talk about this, I just get a little emotional.
Sure. No, I get it.
First time I met her, I went back to my dorm, and my roommate said, "Hey, how'd the old people's mixer go?" And I was like, "Yeah, well," I said, "honestly, I just met the woman I'm going to marry."
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Sorry, I just.
Yeah, no. So how long have you been married, Jim?
This May will be 28 years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get off that subject.
And we just kept moving further south. So we went from Kentucky to Atlanta because she used to live there for a while. And then, she had lifelong friends there. And her parents are here in Brevard because her dad worked security for the space shuttle launches. Mm-hmm. So when we had our first child, she was like, "We need to be around my parents." I said, "Okay, fine." Moved to Florida, and I said, "We will stay in Florida till he starts, grade school, and then we'll go back up north." We're still here. So it's kind of one of those, you don't always get what you want, but things work out for a reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've had a pretty diverse career, from the military to higher education, and then now into the insurance world. What motivated you? What kind of motivated you to make that large transition from higher education into the health and life insurance?
Well, mainly burnout. Higher education in general. My wife's a elementary and middle school special education teacher.
Wow. Well, thank her for her service too. I call them heroes, Jim.
Yeah, she's got 4 years to go to retirement. And it's just one of those, you work your tail off for a small wage and a lot of stress. And I was getting burned out. I had started working on my doctorate. Well, I got my master's. Started working on my doctorate, and the school kept saying, "Oh, we'll pay for it." Then when it came time to pay the first bill, it's not in the budget. And they did that several times. And then finally it was a career college, corporate owned, And I helped build this. My team and I, we built the school from 3 to 7 campuses in Florida, and we took it from a $10 million budget to a $75 million budget in 5 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, about 250% student growth, 500% budget growth, and it was all about helping the students, but also making that money because it's for profit.
Yeah.
And when different corporate took over, they laid a bunch of us off, myself included, and I was like, you know what? No. So when stepping back, when Annette and I first got married, we moved from Kentucky to Atlanta, and we both got a job working at the Home Depot corporate office. She was in sales support because she's got a bookkeeping background, things like that. And I got into HR, benefits. I was a benefits coordinator. So that's where I cut my teeth on how group benefits really work in a huge industry. So once I decided to make the transition, I was like, well, I know I've got all this background from the Home Depot, and my daughter had been selling Medicare Advantage plans, and she said, "Dad, why don't you go do that?" So I sold life insurance for a year as a captive agent. Wasn't really fond of that, and then did Medicare Advantage plans. And the next year after that, I switched to the marketplace, Obamacare, and I bounced back and forth between the two for several years as a captive agent, which means I'm working for a major agency and they're paying me an hourly wage, a small commission, and they pushed quotas. I had to get people off the phone in a certain amount of time and make a certain amount of sales a day, or else I get written up. And I'm like, this is horrible. This is as stressful as academics to a point. Yeah. So I said, so I looked around and I said, well, what else is there out there? And I ran across an ad actually for USA Benefits Group. Had an interview with the guy, and he was like, look, you get to call the shots. You talk to whatever clients you want. You build your own book of business. You contract with as many insurance carriers as you want. Here's the difference. He showed me the different types of plans, whether it's group plans or private indemnity, where basically, as a client, you own the policy. You can go to the doctor and say, hey, I'm paying you cash. Submit the claim. And nowadays, it's just do it on your app. Just submit the claim, and then the insurance company pays you a check.
Wow.
Well, the nice thing is, you tell your doctor, hey, if I pay you cash or put it on my credit card and don't go through insurance, how much will you charge me? Usually about $100. Okay, the insurance carrier is going to give you anywhere, depending on what insurance plan you have, you're going to get anywhere from $125 to $175, maybe even $200 back. So you're like, wait a minute, I'm making money? Yes. And you just put that towards your premium. And incidentally, the premiums are actually less expensive because the insurance carriers, they really deal with people who are fairly healthy, and they won't pay for pre-existing for the first year. That's how they can stay solvent. Unlike a plan with Obamacare or through your work, you could have a major critical illness and they have to cover you. Of course, that's why it's so expensive, and they have $5,000 deductibles to meet, $9,000 out of pocket to meet, because you need to pay that money in, or else they lose money as an insurance company. So gotcha. That's where all that comes into play. And I'm like, you know what? I can help low-income folks, because my heart would break when I talk to a senior and they'd say, I need to get a Medicare Advantage plan with no monthly premium because I can't afford to go to the doctor, or I can't afford to buy my medicine because I have to buy groceries. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's a horrible way to live. So I've got ways to help them too. So it's not just, the low income. I do a lot with what we call Henrys, high earner, not rich yet. So it's like, 20, 30 something year olds who are making good money.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who they're like, I don't really need insurance, or I want to get insurance, but it's too expensive. They think it's too expensive. They don't realize the options. And that's where a broker like myself can come in and actually say to them, look, tell me what you need, tell me your budget, and I will meet those parameters, but still give you great coverage where you're gonna be protected if you have a heart attack, cancer, stroke, fall off a roof. Getting a client had a skiing accident the other month. Everything was paid for, and he even got $12,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's.
So let me ask you, Jim. Like in your work, you emphasize you saving money on health insurance. Can you share an example on how someone has saved significantly by switching to a better plan with your guidance?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Rick. As a realtor, would it help your client if they had an extra $10,000 a year to spend to invest in a house?
Sure, why not? Absolutely.
I'm working with a family right now. They're 40, and they've got 3 kids. Right now, they're paying $1,800 a month with a competitor. It's a well-known insurance carrier, and they're like, hey, we got this plan, $1,800 a month for the 5 of us, and we're just having issues with getting bills paid, going to certain specialists, things like that. And I mean, it's not even like major illness special, just, different special women doctors, things like that. And I was like, wow, okay, let me show you a plan that's going to save you $1,000 a month.
Right.
And it's got much better coverage. You're in control. Open network, no deductibles. Well, sorry, $250 deductible versus $5,000 deductible. And the deductible is what you have to pay out of pocket before the insurance company is even going to start paying anything. It's not like you have to pay that all at once, but say you go to the doctor or urgent care or something several times a year, where you're going to have to keep paying money, and then finally the insurance company's going to go, okay, now we're going to start paying your bills, or paying 80% maybe.
Yeah.
Well, on top of the deductible savings, just for the monthly premium, I'm able to get them down from $1,800 down to like $800.
Wow.
Better coverage, better network. They control, who they go to. And there's another thing too, transparency. Hospitals and clinics and all that have to tell you how much they're going to charge. So I tell folks, if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, I need you to go get an MRI. Here, go to the hospital and get an MRI. Wrong answer. No. Never go to the hospital to get major diagnostic tests unless you're like in the ER and can't go somewhere else.
Right.
Because they'll charge you so much money. There's something called Healthcare Blue Book, and we could shop around and find a much better, like myself, I paid $250 for a CAT scan. It would have cost me
thousands, right?
$875 at like the hospital. I'm like, wow. So
yeah,
it's just knowing, it's being smart about your health coverage. And yes, some people say, well, wait, I have to do something. I'm like, wouldn't you rather have to do something extra, like submit your own claims, than pay thousands of dollars for the insurance company to do it? No, it's just being smart. So
yeah, I think, Jim, you had told me at one time that you mentioned that the worst time to find out about your insurance isn't enough is during a medical emergency. Can you explain why that's so critical and how people can better prepare themselves for that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine the worst day of your life. Doctor walks in and says, you have cancer. And what's worse is, and you go, wait, what's worse? What? What's worse is your insurance company is not going to pay more than 50% of the chemo treatments. So you're going to have to come up with several $1,000s every month to pay your chemo. And you're like,
whoa.
What?
Yeah, wow.
So, I mean, that's what I mean by
that'd be
finding out
devastating.
your insurance doesn't cover what it should on the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
But with critical illness and specified disease plans that I've got, $1 million in coverage, and all you have to do is submit the claim. And many of these plans, on the first diagnosis of a major illness, will pay you a lump sum. I had a client last year, had a heart attack. He had a $50,000 critical illness rider. So while he was recovering, and he's self-employed, so while he's home recovering for 3.5, 4 months, not making income, and he's not worrying, how am I going to pay my mortgage, because he got a $50,000 check 2 weeks after he got diagnosed, 2 weeks after the heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
He got home, the check came. He's like, hey, he even went and bought a little John boat. I was like, really?
Okay.
He said, well, my doctor said I need to relax. Go get a little John boat, go fishing,
There you go.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jim, you help people optimize their insurance, as we kind of touched on, by focusing the right mix of coverages. And obviously, there's a bunch of different kinds of coverages. Can you kind of explain the combination of hospital indemnity, critical illness, the accident protection that can provide more value than a traditional health insurance? I mean, I'm familiar with like PPO and HMO and
HMOs.
Yeah, all of those and those MOs.
Yeah.
What is the differences of those, and what's better, what's worse?
Well, that part of it depends on really what network your doctor's contracted with. And I'll tell you.
So dumb it down for me.
The trend, well, an HMO basically means it's a health maintenance organization. You are under, like Florida Blue Cross Blue Shield, HMOs, which means you have to tell them, the insurance company, I'm going to Dr. Joe Bag of Donuts. He's my primary care doctor. So anytime you need medical treatment for anything, you have to go see Dr. Joe Bag of Donuts. If you need tests or need to go to a specialist, he has to put in a referral to the insurance company. Then you get to hurry up and wait for them to say, yeah, it's okay, you can go to that specialist. But
gotcha.
he better, because he's in our network.
Right.
And the downside with that too is the insurance companies, they contract with doctors in their network, so they kind of have them. Yeah, they're like, okay, you're in our network, we're going to pay you what we want to pay you. So a family doctor might submit a bill to the insurance company for $250, and they'll only pay him $120. And then you might have like a $25, $30 copay. So, he gets the copay, but then he's only getting maybe half of what he actually bills them for. I've seen doctors bill $1,500 for a procedure and only get paid $250. It's like, why is that even worth it? He's got medical school bills to pay. He's got a mortgage. It's crazy. So
right,
it's getting more and more where it's passed on to the consumer. We have higher deductibles, higher out-of-pockets.
Yeah.
So group health insurance, if you have a regular job, you got a W-2, your boss says, hey, HR comes, hey, it's time to sign up for employee benefits. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. They're going to take this amount out of my paycheck, blah, blah, blah. You're covered with the 10 essentials. doctor, hospital, emergency, all that, pregnancy, everything like that. The healthcare marketplace, aka Obamacare.
Right.
10 essentials, major medical insurance coverage. Okay. You still have that either HMO. A PPO is where you can go in network or out of network. If you stay in network, it's going to cost you less. If you go out of network, they'll still pay for it, but you're still going to pay. Yeah. See, HMOs like Florida Blue, you go out of network, you're on your own. You're all out of pocket.
What, do you get reimbursed or something?
No. Like if you have Florida Blue HMO and you go to a non-Florida Blue doctor, like say you're traveling,
you're saying it's out of pocket.
Like you're opening up your wallet and paying 100%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like say Florida Blue, we have a friend who goes to Idaho. If he has Florida Blue here and he goes to Idaho and has to go to a doctor or hospital, Well, if it's an emergency, the insurance will pay. But if say he just gets sick and wants to go to a doctor,
out of pocket.
It's all coming out of his pocket. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's different realms of that. Now,
yeah,
what I do, hospital indemnity, is I take cafeteria style. I take bits and pieces of those 10 essentials, and I take the best plans from the best insurance carriers that I know are solvent. I work for the client, but I contract with the insurance carriers. Some of the insurance carriers I work with have literally been around since the Civil War. So they're solvent. They know what they're doing. They treat their clients well. And that's why I contract with them. There are some insurance companies out there I refuse to contract with because I've had personal dealings. I've had clients who have had issues of not getting paid, not getting the right treatments. You take care of people first. You don't take care of what's financially best. So I tell folks, get you a hospital indemnity plan that's going to cover hospital and doctor and specialist. Then we can add accident. I've got a great accident plan. It will cover kids in sports. It'll cover you if you travel around the world. So if you have a plan that has say a $9,000 deductible through work, and you add a $65 a month accident plan that'll give you $10,000 in coverage, you have an accident, you're not going to have that $9,000 out of pocket because it's going to cover it and it's going to take care of everything. So same with critical illness, heart attack, cancer, stroke, mainly. Special specified disease. You can have an organ transplant. You can get Lou Gehrig's disease. Major specified issues that are traumatically life-altering, get you $1 million in coverage. So that way, if you have to have treatment over a whole year, you're not going to have to, sell your house and go live with your relatives because you can't pay the bills.
Wow.
Things like that.
So I want to dive into, because obviously you and I are part of a networking group, BNI, which is a small business networking group. And as a small business owner, what are some of the common mistakes you see other small business owners make when it comes to insurance? And how do you tailor your insurance solutions to meet these unique needs of entrepreneurs like yourself and myself and the other businesses that are listening right now or watching?
Yeah, great question, because I'll tell you, so many small business owners, whether they're just self-employed or they have, maybe a couple, 3, 4 employees. I personally stay under the 20 employee realm because then it gets a little too overwhelming.
Sure.
Because I am, self-employed. I'm actually, Jim Carroll and Associates LLC, but I use the Power of USA Benefits Group because they've been around for 37 years, nationally well known, and I've got all their resources that if I had to do this on my own, I'd be spending 5 times as much as far as the website, the email, the licensing, all that. But I still get to call the shots. Jim Carroll Associates, we're a certified veteran-owned small business, and I'll tell you, what did you say about mistakes? A lot of these people out there, they just figure, I'm just going to grab group coverage for my people, and if it's a lot of times the group coverage won't deal with any business under 5 employees. But in Florida, you can actually be self-funded, which means, and you'll be familiar with this, you have to take a chunk of money and basically stick it in an escrow account to cover anything the insurance company is going to have to pay out. Right. So if somebody gets really, really sick or has a heart attack or cancer, stroke, you're going to burn through that escrow, and then they're probably not going to renew you the next year. You're going to have to find your own insurance. Or a lot of small employers, they just don't even offer insurance because they can't afford to do it. They don't think they can afford to do it, I should say. There are ways to deal with that, whether it's putting their employees in a marketplace plan and have the employer actually pay like a health reimbursement account. So the employer pays for the employee's marketplace, and the employer gets to write that on their taxes, take a tax deduction on that as a business expense. So it's a win-win. And that way, the employer, I've had so many employers say to me, I wish I could offer insurance because I lose competition. Somebody interviews with me and they go, oh, do you have insurance? No, I don't have health insurance. And they'll go down the street for $1 or $2 less in wages, but they get health insurance.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, man, he goes, I can't keep good talent. I said, well, here's a way to help even the playing field. You can offer great health insurance, even supplement, even throw in, the dental, the vision, the extras, but accident and hospitalization and doctor coverage, that's key. So if you can help folks with that, and even yourself, and that's where there's really 4 different packets. There's like for lower wage or somebody who has pre-existing conditions, we do the marketplace and get the extra critical illness, the accident, to cover them very well. Then you've got what we call the dude plan. It's for 20, 30-year-olds who they figure, I don't need to go to the doctor. I don't get sick, or
right. I'm healthy.
Or they're healthy, or they just don't want to spend the money. Well, I've got a package that can give you that great coverage and not break the bank. I mean, we're talking not $250 a month in premiums, maybe, if that. When you're getting closer to 30 or 40, but just 20, 30-year-olds, get you the major coverage. It's going to take care of. I'm not thinking heart attack really somebody that young, but shoot, right. What if a roofer, you fall off the roof, or somebody out there in the field and they get seriously hurt, and you're worried about your wages, things like that. So it's
so one of the things, not to cut you off, but you said your best referrals come from those who can't afford insurance or they have coverage that's too expensive to use. What's one of the first steps that someone should take when they realize their insurance isn't working for them? Besides calling you, which obviously we're going to make sure your information's given out, and we'll put that at the end of the show. But what's one thing that they can do?
Well,
there's probably more than one.
I'll tell you. One of the big things is if they have insurance, I usually ask when people say, "Well, I've got insurance." I say, "Okay, what do you love about it?" Because
Okay.
when I was in Medicare and Obamacare, I would get trained on asking people, what don't you like about it? No, I want to know what you love about it, because sometimes it's harder to tell me what you love about it, and they go, I don't really love anything about it. I'm just paying all this money, and it's like, do you use it? And some people actually say, I can't afford to use it because I've got high deductibles, high
Wow.
copay. So that's why I tell everybody, I look at, and this is why I take all my experience, my military, my academic background, everything, and I can look at your summary of benefits, which is basically an outline, just like curriculum. It's an outline of everything that you're going to have to pay and what the insurance company is going to pay. And I can show you the holes in your plan, basically say, I treat it like a crash test dummy. Let's say, okay, let's run it through the mill and say, if you had an accident, here's what you're going to have to pay out of pocket before the insurance company pays. If you get really sick, and say you get pneumonia, go in the hospital for 3 days, here's what you're going to end up having to pay. Now, here's how I can, basically fix that, close those holes with some
Right.
supplemental coverage, or I can show you much better coverage for less money a month. So it's look at your summary of benefits, look at your plan, see all the dollar signs or percentages of what you're going to have to pay if something happens. And if you don't have insurance, it's okay, how much money do you have in the bank that's going to pay the hospital bills if something major happens?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, major like cancer, heart attack, but I mean, just say you get pneumonia, go in the hospital for 3 days.
Yeah.
Do you have $8,000 in the bank? So that's how we look at it and say, how can you protect what you love? And whatever you can afford, I'm not going to go over that. I'm not going to push and push and push your budget. I'll show you the top end, but I'm also going to say, what are you comfortable with? And I'm going to get you the best coverage where I know if something happens to you, I'm going to be able to sleep at night knowing that I did everything I could to keep you from getting into financial hardship.
Yeah. No, that's great. This is really good stuff. So I know we talk about helping clients save about 30 to 40% of their insurance costs, and that you do that. What's one piece of advice that you would be able to give to someone who feels overwhelmed right now by their current health insurance expenses? Because we know right now, insurance is a pretty high expense in itself. What would you offer?
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, don't try to navigate insurance on your own. I go through annual trainings as a licensed health, life, and variable annuities broker. I have to go through, oh gosh, was it 50 or 60 CEUs every couple years? So
Okay.
I have to go through all this. So I tell everybody, like even trying to explain to you HMO, PPO, all that. You don't need to worry about that.
Right.
That's where I
You just
can
need to call you.
look at what you have or what you don't have, and then I treat everybody individually. It's not a one size fits all. It's never a one size fits all. It's what do you need? I mean, I'll even say, who are your doctors? What are your medications if you have any? I want to make sure things are going to be covered before you end up going to the pharmacy and they're
Right.
saying, well, no, it's hundreds of dollars because your insurance isn't covering it. No.
No, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
the last question I have for you is, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you
Mhm.
and have a conversation, do they set up an appointment? Do they just give you a call on the phone? I know we're going to have your information if you have a website that people can reach out, or how would they go about reaching you?
Yeah. Best thing is, now I will preface this. Being self-employed, I work from home. So
Okay.
I work, and it's because I mean, I work when my clients need me. I had a client, they called me at 10 o'clock at night. Hey, I got hurt. I think I need to go to the ER. And I said, how hurt are you? Can you wait till the morning and go to the urgent care? Spend $50 versus 2,000 for an ER because he had, employer coverage, but he also had a supplemental accident plan. But I said, still, do you want to deal with the ER? Not really. Turned out he just sprained his ankle. It wasn't broken. And I said, I'm not a doctor. Do what you think is best. But if you can go to the urgent care in the morning, do that. And he was like, man, that was, I was just not thinking straight, okay, sure. So basically, somebody calls me late at night, that's fine. I'm going to, I'll answer. I'll pick up the phone. I have all my clients listed. My website you'll have that has my bio and it has all my products, different things I carry. What I tell folks we can have a quick, what I call a fact finder. I'll do a quick phone call, find out what you need. Then we're going to have a Zoom meeting because that way I don't care if you're on camera or not. I'm going to be on camera so you can see that I'm human. I'm not just some guy in a call center, but also that way I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see everything I'm looking at, all the different plans, policies. You can see pricing, and we work together. It's not just, hey, here's a plan for you. Give me your credit card. No. No. Because sometimes I tell folks, I don't even know if you qualify. I don't even know if, I'm able to work with you. Because if you've got major illnesses, or medications or something, some of the plans are pre-existing for 12 months, but if I need to put you onto an Obamacare plan for a year, we'll do that just so you have some coverage and some peace of mind. So regardless of and even with seniors, I do Medicare supplements as well as Medicare Advantage plans. So I work everybody from the cradle to the grave. And my website, so it has my phone number. So basically, give me a call. We'll do a quick fact finder to see what your needs are. Then I can put together a plan of attack, and then we'll do a Zoom call. And I am one of these guys where I'm not going to say this is it. This is what you get. No, if you don't like it and we need to tweak, change, I'm here for you. I'm here to get your health protection. So on the worst day of your life, you're not going to go into financial hardship.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I'll make sure all your information at the end of the show is there for them. If somebody needs to reach out to you, if you're a small business or an individual, they are somebody that you'll have a conversation with, set up a one-on-one and be able to see what's the right coverage for them. Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this has been extremely informative and educational on my part. I honestly didn't know enough. My dad was actually in life insurance, God rest his soul, for 30 plus years, and did life insurance. But I was small when he was doing it, and I didn't have a clue. So I definitely highly respect what you do, and I'm really thrilled that you were kind enough to come on our show. And like I said, I will make sure your information is at the end of the show, and so people can reach out to you. That being said, thank you again. I want to thank everybody here today for listening and watching. And and as always, be on the key. Make it a great day.